Imagine standing on one of Mumbai's busiest streets. The air is heavy with humidity, and horns echo in every direction. You tilt your head back, and your gaze climbs and climbs until it's almost dizzying. Rising above the chaos is a building so tall, so bizarre, and so extravagant it feels like it belongs in a science fiction movie. This is not a government tower. It's not a luxury hotel. It's not even a private club. It's a single home, built for just one family. They call it Antilia. 27 official stories, but each floor is so tall and custom-built that the whole structure towers like a 60-story skyscraper. Its exterior looks like a futuristic puzzle. Stacked glass blocks, steel and gardens layered in impossible geometry. Inside, it's even more surreal. 3 helipads, 6 floors of garages for 168 luxury cars. A snow room that creates artificial blizzards while Mumbai swelters at over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Multiple spas, yoga studios, private cinemas, floating gardens, ballrooms with crystal ceilings, marble flown in from Italy, hand-woven rugs from Kashmir. Over 600 staff maintain it daily. Chefs, engineers, housekeepers, security teams, and even specialists who manage the air itself. Its price tag? Over $2 billion, second only to Buckingham Palace as the most expensive private residence on Earth. And it's home to one family of 6. That family is the Ambanis, India's wealthiest and arguably most powerful dynasty. Their story is part rags to riches, part corporate warfare, part 21st century empire building. It's a story of ambition so fierce it reshaped an entire nation's economy, of luxury so staggering it fuels controversy, and of a generational handoff playing out before the eyes of more than 1 billion people. To understand how this happened, how a boy from a small, dusty village built an empire that now influences India's politics, digital future, and global markets, we have to go back to the 1950s. The making of an empire. Dhirubhai Ambani was born in 1932 in rural Gujarat. His family was modest. His father was a school teacher earning a simple salary. His mother managed the home on sparse resources. Electricity flickered, and many nights dinner was just lentils and rice. Yet even as a child, Dhirubhai showed unusual spark, restless curiosity and ambition that wouldn't stay quiet. At 17, he made a daring choice. He left India for Aden, Yemen, a bustling port city where global oil flowed and British firms dominated trade. There, while working as a humble gas station attendant for Shell, he studied the invisible forces of commerce, how supply chains moved, how traders arbitraged opportunity, how fortunes emerged not just from goods but from timing and networks. When he returned to India, he had a mission: build something vast. He started with polyester yarn, importing small bundles cheaply and selling them quickly for slim profit but fast turnover. It was mundane work, but taught him speed and risk-taking. Then came Reliance Commercial Corporation, headquartered in a cramped Mumbai office with one table and a single rotary phone. Dhirubhai was relentless, undercutting rivals, navigating India's complex import rules, and cultivating relationships deep inside government ministries. India in those years was not an easy place to build a business. The country was young, newly independent, and its economy operated under the notorious License Raj, a maze of permits and quotas that strangled entrepreneurs. But where others saw red tape, Dhirubhai saw a map. He learned how to negotiate, how to win allies, and how to scale faster than the system expected. By the 1970s and 80s, Reliance had exploded beyond textiles. Dhirubhai took the company public, an unheard-of move for an Indian family firm at the time. Instead of keeping wealth locked among elites, he invited millions of ordinary Indians to buy shares. Small investors flocked to him, seeing him as a champion of opportunity. Factories rose, pipelines spread, and Reliance became a cornerstone of India's emerging middle class. Its clothes, its plastics, even its dreams. But inside this success story, a quieter drama was taking shape, one that would later shake the empire itself. The brothers. Dhirubhai's two sons grew up immersed in this whirlwind, but couldn't have been more different. Mukesh, the elder, introverted, analytical, with a mind for engineering and operations. He studied chemical engineering, attended Stanford, and preferred to work quietly behind the scenes. His gift was turning complex industrial visions into working, profitable reality. Anil, the younger, charismatic, media-savvy, Harvard-educated, fluent in English and PR. He wore tailored suits, charmed reporters, and built relationships with global financiers and Bollywood celebrities. If Mukesh was steel and spreadsheets, Anil was glass and cameras. Dhirubhai managed this balance carefully. Mukesh gravitated to heavy industries, oil, petrochemicals, massive factories. Anil explored finance and telecom, the future-facing, glamorous segments, and as long as their father lived, the machine ran smoothly. But in 2002, Dhirubhai died unexpectedly from a stroke. He left no will and no formal succession plan. The cracks widened immediately. At first, the conflict was subtle, a shift in public statements, board meetings where Mukesh and Anil no longer sat easily side by side. Trusted executives quietly reassigned. Market rumors leaked, whispers that Mukesh had blocked some of Anil's initiatives, that Anil was working media channels to frame himself as the rightful heir. Shareholders grew nervous. Reliance wasn't just a company, it was held by millions of middle-class Indians. The value of their savings hung on which brother would prevail. And the stakes weren't just business. Reliance's reach was vast. Oil refineries, petrochemicals, textiles, finance, new telecom ambitions, each arm worth billions, tied to global supply chains and government relationships. By 2005, the Cold War went public. Newspapers splashed anonymous quotes from sources close to the family. TV analysts debated succession. Investors sold shares on rumors alone. Politicians tried to mediate privately but failed. The company's future, and India's biggest source of retail shareholders, seemed paralyzed. It was their mother, Kokilaban Ambani, who stepped in. Kokilaban had lived through every phase of the empire's birth, from the tiny one-room office to the petrochemical mega plants. She knew both sons' strengths and tempers. And while she rarely appeared in business pages, behind the scenes, she still commanded enormous moral weight. In June 2005, after weeks of closed-door meetings, she forced a settlement. It was simple in structure but monumental in impact. The Reliance empire would be split. Mukesh would take the old economy, oil and gas, refining, petrochemicals, manufacturing, infrastructure. Anil would take the new economy, telecom, financial services, entertainment, power. On paper, it looked balanced. The gritty, cash-generating backbone for Mukesh, the fast-growing, media-friendly sectors for Anil. The markets initially breathed relief. Two massive conglomerates where one had been, India's richest family feud resolved, but the split masked an asymmetry that would only become clear later. Mukesh had inherited the industrial core with stable cash flow and control of critical supply chains. Anil got faster-moving, highly leveraged businesses exposed to regulatory storms and fierce competition. Anil's meteoric rise and fall. In the first few years after the split, Anil seemed to thrive. He launched Reliance Communications, expanded aggressively into mobile, internet, entertainment, even financial products. He was everywhere, smiling on magazine covers, attending celebrity parties, projecting global sophistication. Investors loved the narrative, the younger Ambani riding India's coming tech wave. But behind the glamour, cracks formed. Telecom is brutal, capital-intensive, dependent on spectrum auctions, vulnerable to government policy. Anil borrowed heavily to expand networks, bid aggressively for licenses, and chased diversification. Debt piled up. Rivals like Bharti Airtel fought back fiercely. New players disrupted pricing. Outside telecom, his ventures in infrastructure and finance hit roadblocks. Some faced regulatory delays, others couldn't scale profits. By the late 2000s, global financial turbulence added pressure. What once seemed like brilliant leverage turned into dangerous exposure. By 2019, Anil Ambani, once worth billions on paper, told an Indian court he had no meaningful personal wealth left and couldn't repay debts to lenders. Headlines that had once praised him as India's next big mogul now chronicled asset sales and lawsuits. He narrowly avoided jail after intervention, including, ironically, some help from his elder brother. Mukesh's silent consolidation. Mukesh, meanwhile, almost vanished from the gossip pages and appeared only in business sections. While Anil played to cameras, Mukesh poured resources into strengthening his industrial base and preparing a pivot. Oil and petrochemicals still delivered enormous cash. But Mukesh saw a bigger future: data. By the early 2000s, India was on the verge of a digital explosion but lacked infrastructure. Mobile data was expensive, speeds poor, and penetration low beyond major cities. Mukesh bet that the next empire wouldn't be built on polyester or petrol. It would be built on information pipes. So he quietly invested billions to build a brand new nationwide telecom network, from towers to miles of fiber optic cable, before signing a single customer. In 2016, the bet unveiled Jio. Jio's disruption. When Jio launched in 2016, it wasn't a normal telecom rollout. It was an ambush. Instead of entering quietly and competing on price, Jio detonated the market. Free voice calls, nearly free data, SIM cards handed out like candy, speeds better than what most Indians had ever experienced. Entire families switched overnight. Businesses scrambled to adapt. Within 6 months, Jio had more than 100 million users. Within 2 years, it had 400 million. Competitors slashed prices to survive, merged out of desperation, or collapsed entirely. Bharti Airtel bled market share. Vodafone and Idea stumbled. Older state-run BSNL shrank into irrelevance. Jio didn't just win, it rewrote the rules. But Jio wasn't only about telecom. The network was a foundation for something far larger: control of India's digital future. Once you own the pipes that carry a nation's data, you can layer on services: streaming, messaging, payments, shopping. Mukesh built a digital ecosystem: Jio TV, Jio7 for music, Jio Cinema, Jio Mart, and partnerships with giants like Disney's Hotstar and Cricket streaming rights. It was a walled garden, but at national scale. He also played a long policy game. Decades of cultivating relationships with regulators and governments meant faster clearances and friendlier policies. Rivals complained, but Jio simply moved faster and smarter. Then came 2020. While the world locked down during the pandemic, Mukesh turned Reliance into the hottest tech investment target on the planet. Over just a few months, Facebook invested $5.7 billion for a 10% stake in Jio platforms. Google put in $4.5 billion. Intel, Qualcomm, Silver Lake, KKR, and other major global funds joined. The total haul topped $20 billion, the largest foreign direct investment spree in India's tech sector ever. The message was unmistakable. Reliance was no longer just oil and petrochemicals. It was a digital superpower. The fortress in the sky. If Jio is the invisible empire, Antilia is the visible crown. Its silhouette breaks Mumbai's skyline: staggered glass boxes, hanging gardens, steel ribs gleaming under the sun. It's estimated to cost more than $2 billion. Inside, marble imported from Italy, chandeliers that weigh more than small cars, elevators programmed for different family members, and panic rooms with dedicated oxygen supplies. Critics see it as a glaring symbol of inequality in a city where millions live in informal settlements. Admirers see it as proof of how far India's economy has come. A country once defined by scarcity, now capable of producing world-scale wealth. But to the Ambanis themselves, insiders say Antilia is less about ostentation and more about security and succession. It's built to be self-contained, earthquake-resistant, and shielded. Entire floors are unused but available as the family grows or restructures life. It's a vertical fortress as much as a home. That fortress was tested in 2021 when a black SUV loaded with explosives was found parked outside. The city went on high alert. Police and federal agencies swarmed. The incident revealed how exposed extreme wealth can be in a turbulent society. Security protocols tightened further. Antilia's mystique as untouchable cracked briefly, then hardened. Weddings as world stage theater. If Antilia is the symbol of power, Ambani weddings are the proof. In 2018, Mukesh's daughter Isha Ambani married Anand Piramal, heir to another billionaire family. Entire luxury hotels in Udaipur were booked out. Private jets flooded local airports. Guest lists included Hillary Clinton, Beyoncé, Bollywood royalty, global CEOs, and India's political elite. Performances, designer outfits, 10-figure floral budgets, all broadcast across social media. The following year, son Akash Ambani wed Shloka Mehta, daughter of a diamond magnate, in a celebration rumored to cost even more. The weddings weren't just family milestones, they were public declarations. Reliance wealth is enduring, and its network reaches every corridor of power from Washington to Bollywood. Yet behind the glamour, these weddings served a corporate purpose. They signaled succession. Akash now chairs Reliance Jio Infocom. Isha steers Reliance Retail, an empire spanning e-commerce, luxury partnerships, grocery, and consumer tech. Youngest brother Anant leads energy transition initiatives, including Mukesh's $10 billion bet on green hydrogen and renewables. The next generation is not just partying, they're taking command. The next era. The generational transition now underway inside Reliance is one of the most carefully choreographed successions in modern business. Each child has been deliberately placed. Akash Ambani now chairs Reliance Jio Infocom. He's led major partnerships, including Facebook's stake, and oversaw the company's massive 5G rollout. He represents continuity in digital infrastructure. Isha Ambani leads Reliance Retail. She's expanded luxury tie-ups, pushed JioMart deeper into grocery and commerce, and overseen acquisitions in fashion and e-commerce tech. Under her, Reliance has become India's answer to Amazon and Alibaba combined. Anil Ambani, the youngest, is being positioned as the face of the next energy revolution: green hydrogen, solar, battery technology. Mukesh pledged billions for clean energy projects, an effort to future-proof Reliance beyond oil and gas and align with global climate imperatives. But the transition isn't only about handing out titles. It's about public narrative. Mukesh knows reputation in India is vital. The younger Ambanis are gradually stepping onto world stages, speaking at summits, leading deals, while still shielded from scandal and overexposure. Yet for all the resources, pressure mounts. The empire faces real challenges. Global tech giants, Amazon, Walmart, Netflix, are pushing hard into India's consumer space. Government regulation is unpredictable. Antitrust scrutiny could rise as Reliance dominates more sectors. Startups, from fintech to e-commerce, are agile and well-funded, threatening to chip away at Reliance's moat. Energy transition risk. The pivot from oil is costly and uncertain. Green hydrogen is promising but unproven at Reliance's scale. The heirs must prove they're not just inheriting but innovating, turning a family empire into a modern corporate juggernaut. Global reach and quiet diplomacy. Mukesh has also positioned reliance globally. Partnerships with Meta, Google, and Middle Eastern sovereign wealth funds aren't just capital injections. They're geopolitical hedges. They tether the company to major tech ecosystems and energy allies. Isha has courted Western luxury and retail brands, turning India into a growth market for global labels, while Reliance controls the distribution. Akash has deep ties with Silicon Valley and is seen as the digital dealmaker. Anant is cultivating ties with green energy players in Europe and the Gulf. Reliance is no longer simply an Indian conglomerate. It's a global player with domestic roots and worldwide ambitions. Luxury and legacy. Amid all this, the family's personal brand, the spectacle, remains deliberate. Antilia stands not just as a home, but as an image of unassailable power. The billion-dollar weddings double as summits where the world's most influential quietly mingle. Charity is visible but selective. Hospitals, schools, disaster relief, keeping the family aligned with national pride while managing criticism of extreme wealth. But insiders whisper that the higher they climb, the heavier it gets. Security is suffocating. Movements are choreographed. Private life shrinks. A single misstep can trigger national debate. Children raised in unimaginable privilege face the invisible work of proving their worth to 1 billion onlookers. The bigger story. And yet, the Ambani saga is larger than one family. It's the story of modern India, a nation going from scarcity to abundance, from protectionism to global capitalism. Dhirubhai's polyester hustle became Mukesh's data empire, which may become Akash and Isha's digital retail tech giant and Anant's green energy pioneer. It's also a story about control, how to build it, defend it, and pass it on. How a gas station clerk's dream can evolve into a fortress of influence, but at a cost: rivalries, constant vigilance, and a life where every public move echoes far beyond personal walls. Antilia towers over Mumbai not just as a house, but as a metaphor. Visible but unreachable, dazzling but controversial, protective yet isolating. As India charges into a digital and renewable future, the Ambanis stand at the crossroads. They hold one of the most complex private empires in the world, a machine running on oil, fiber optic cables, retail aisles, algorithms, and legacy. The next chapter will test whether inherited power can stay innovative and whether a dynasty built in one era can survive the speed of another. For now, one fact is clear. The Ambanis aren't just rich. They've reshaped an economy and a culture. And somewhere high inside that gleaming tower on Altamount Road, behind tinted glass and guarded gates, the next generation is quietly preparing to keep the machine running, to hold the throne, and to prove they deserve it. If you enjoyed diving into this world of unimaginable wealth, power, and influence, you'll love what's coming next. This channel, Luxury Throne, is where we explore the private worlds of the richest families and most exclusive empires on the planet. From secret palaces to corporate dynasties, we pull back the curtain on how extreme wealth is built and how it's defended. Subscribe now to Luxury Throne and join me for the next journey inside the lives of the ultra-powerful. There's so much more behind the walls you